Hi, fans. It's Henry's Baseball. We're here for another show. This is probably going to be one of the best shows we've had. We have Miss New Hampshire, Miss Teen New Hampshire. She is Maude Gorman. She goes to Stone Hill College, and her friend there is Sergio Jameson. He's a deputy sheriff. And on my left, we have a guy that does the Frank Sinatra impersonations, and his name is George Lyons. His website is 3 W's and a dot, soundslikeFrank.com. He's the Frank Sinatra impersonator. His phone number is 821-424-6760. He does weddings. 781-424-6760. 6760. He does weddings, parties, or any type of event. He'll also do Dean, Sammy, Elvis, and more. So feel free to give him a call at 781-424-6760. And on the line is Bob Oldest. He's in Gilbert, Arizona. And this is to tell you a little bit about him. Probably a lot of people haven't heard of him, but he's a catcher, throws right, bats right. His height was 6'1", 185 when he played. He was born January 5th, 1928 in Preston, Iowa. Right now he's about 86. Originally he signed with the Washington Senators in the amateur free draft of 1949. And he started his pro career as far as MLB at-bats was April 28th, 1953 at age 55. He played for the Phillies, Pirates, and Senators, and that was from 53 to 63. His final game was September 29th, 1963 at age 35. So you can look that up on Baseball Reference, B.O. Bob, O-L-D-I-S, Bob Oldest. And let's get started. Bob, tell us how it started in high school. How did you know you were a pretty good player, that maybe one day you might play some pro baseball? Tell us about your high school years.
Well, I started out of high school. I graduated from Iowa City High School in 1946 and 47. We didn't have high school ball there. We started our last year high school baseball when I was in high school. But we had an American Legion team that was a real good American Legion team in 46, 47 there. And I was a third baseman. And I'll never forget it. We got beat in a championship game for the state title by Burlington, Iowa, by the score of 3-2. And I can remember that game very well because I had a very good day that day. I got 3 hits. I went 3 for 3 that day. And we got beat 3-2. And the next day the paper had a nice write-up. The home paper had a nice write-up in it. And then it says, for Iowa City, Bob Oldest was the leading hitter with 3 for 3. And so I told my dad, did you see the paper today? And he said, no. He says, let me see that. So I showed it to him. After him reading it, he says, I'll tell you what I want you to do with this, son. He says, I want you to cut it out, put it between 2 pieces of bread, and tell me how it tastes. Because we got beat, you know. And I thought it was a nice article, but since we got beat, he didn't think it was a very good article. And I never saved too many articles. But and then the following year, I played in the National Softball League, Professional Softball League. And after that season, my dad told me, he says, you know, Bob, I'm going to send you to Cocoa, Florida, to a baseball school. I want you to go down there in January for 5 weeks. It's going to cost me $25 a week to go down there. And so I rode a bus 4 nights and 3 days to get there to Cocoa, Florida. And a guy by the name of Jack Rossiter, a scout from Springfield, Illinois, was running the camp for the Washington Senators. There was about 200 of us showed up. And Pete Aprin was one of the instructors. Andy Semenek was one of the instructors. Travis Jackson was one of the instructors. But after 3 weeks in this camp, Jack called me in. He says, Bob, we want to sign you to a contract. I said, wonderful, great. And so he says, we're going to give you $150 a month. We're going to send you to Emporia, Virginia. And so I said, good. So after visiting with him, I called my dad and told my dad, I said, Dad, 3 weeks went by. I just signed a contract to play professional baseball. I'm coming home till spring training. And he says, Bob, I'll tell you what I want you to do. I'm going to send you an extra $25, and you stay down there the extra 2 weeks. Maybe you'll learn something. So he sent me. So I stayed the extra 2 weeks, and about 9 of us out of that camp got signed. But I was the only one that stayed around long enough. So anyhow, I came home, and I went to Emporia, Virginia, in Class D ball in the Virginia State League in 1949, and I played. We had a pretty good ball club. I played for a guy by the name of Smut Idaho, who was an extra outfielder that played for the Dodgers in the 40s, and we had a pretty good ball club. And I was the backup catcher then. They had a catcher by the name of Orlando Echeverrian, a Cuban catcher that Mr. Griffith, the owner of the Washington Senators, said that was going to be the starting catcher in 1952, was going to be the regular catcher at Emporia. It was a hot day in June or July on a Sunday afternoon, and we had a doubleheader. And Orlando Echeverrian came and says, Bob, I said to the manager, but I don't feel very good. I don't feel like playing today. The manager told him, you take the day off, Bob will catch both games of the doubleheader. It was a hot day. I can remember it. In the second inning, I'm batting 8th in the lineup since, I haven't played very much. And before you do it, in the second inning, I hit 2 home runs in 1 inning.
Wow.
I think I only hit 5 for the year.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I hit 2 home runs in 1 inning in the Virginia State League. And about the 5th inning, the first-string catcher, Orlando Echeverrian, he comes and says, "Do you feel better? I'll play the second game." He didn't play the second game. And I ended up playing most of the year, and he was back up. And then the following year, in 1950, I went back to Emporia, Virginia. But the funny thing about it, our general manager at Emporia, Virginia, is by the name of Howie Fox. He became later executive vice president for the Washington Senators for Mr. Griffith.
Okay,
so that's how my career started.
Okay, so take us through those first few years in MLB. Who did you play against? Some of the teams or some of the names that maybe people would recognize today?
I do remember the name of Dusty Rhodes. He was an outfielder, and he was a pretty good hitter. I really can't remember too many good names that played in that league right
now. But when Major League Baseball, did you play against the Yankees and maybe Mickey Mantle?
I did later when I got to the big leagues in 1953, and then I with Washington and in 53 and 4, 55, 56, and then I got traded to the Yankee organization, and then in the Yankee organization 57, 58, and 59, and then in 1960, the Pittsburgh Pirates called me after the end of the season and asked me if I would like to go to the Dominican Republic to play because we're thinking about drafting you in the baseball draft in December. I said, sure. So I went to the Dominican, and they did draft me that December. The Pirates did. So in 1960, I I was on the Pirates ball club where we beat the heck out of the Yankees in the World Series.
Okay, well, Miss Teen New Hampshire wants to ask you a question.
I do. What was your favorite team to play for?
What was my favorite team I played for?
Yes.
Well, it had to be the Pittsburgh Pirates 1960 because we won it all, yes.
And what was the name of the field that was in Pittsburgh? I'm sure you had some great memories on it, so I'd love to hear about that.
We played in Forbes Field. It was a long ways to left field.
Big park.
I played with guys like the Hall of Famer Roberto Clemente, Bill Mazeroski.
Okay.
Some of the names on the ball club was Dick Grote.
Who were some of your
Graduated from
teammates
Duke
on the
University and walked right off the campus at Duke University and started playing for big league baseball for the Pirates. Don Hoke, Smokey Burgess, Vernon Law, Bob Pran, Vinegar Ben Mizell, Elroy Face.
He was 18.
Then in the outfield we had a guy by the name of Bill Verdon in center field, Roberto Clemente in right field, Bob Skinner and Gino Simone platooned in left field.
Yeah,
Pitchers.
Sergio wants to ask a question. Go ahead, Sergio.
What was...
Sergio, go ahead. Huh? Any
I don't
baseball
know.
question? What was the World Series like?
Yeah, what was it like to be in the World Series? I could describe that. I mean, that's gotta
Not
be,
everybody's been to the World Series,
it's
so
gotta be exhilarating.
tell Sergio what it's like to put on that uniform and participate in the World Series. The writers and the
World
TV.
Series, the World Series back then was a big thing. NFL football was coming, but it wasn't as big as the World Series in baseball. And we played the Yankees 7 games. They was it's 4 out of 7, as you all know. And the Yankees was a big favorite. Kicked the devil out of us. And so the first 2 games was in Pittsburgh. We won the first game. They won the second. We go to Yankee Stadium to play 3 games. They beat us the 3rd game. And the 4th game and 5th game, we won both of those games. And those 2 games, the 4th game and the 5th game, I played in both of those games, and both games we won. So now we go back to Pittsburgh for the 3-2 lead, and the 6th game the Yankees beat us 12-0 or
Wow.
10-0, beat the heck out of us pretty good. And the 7th game, as we all know, the Yankees scored. It was a slugfest all the way through, and the Yankees scored 2 runs in the top of the 9th to tie the ball game up. And then a guy by the name of Bill Mazeroski was the first hitter in the bottom of the 9th. And the second pitch, he hit it over the fence, and we celebrated. What was I doing right then?
Yeah.
I was warming up a pitcher in the bullpen in case we had to go extra innings. And when Maz touched it off, we knew it was gone. I met him at home plate. And so I don't know how I got this so fast, but I knew it was all over. And we celebrated, and the city of Pittsburgh went crazy.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
That's amazing, Bob. This is George, the Sinatra singer. I've been a baseball fan for a lot of years, and I think it's incredible that the 10 or 20,000 people that have played the game, you're one of the lucky ones that does have a World Series ring. You know, so many guys have played and never got a ring. Ted Williams never got a ring.
Ernie Banks.
Ernie Banks
Look
never
at all
got
the
a
years
ring.
he put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ernie Banks, let's play 2. That was his favorite expression.
Yeah.
He's born the same day as me, February 5th.
He was a
Ernie
heck of a
Banks.
hitter, and we had the honors to play against him when he was with the Cubs, and he never got to the World Series. I had a chance to play against Ted Williams. Never got there, and I helped put him in the Hall of Fame by catching 1 game, and he hit 3 home runs in 1 game. So I helped put him in the Hall of Fame. I put a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Bob Feller, a lot of pitchers, Hal Newhouser, a lot of Bob Lemon, Garcia, Early Wynn. I helped put a lot of those guys in the Hall of Fame because I couldn't hit them. And then when I catch, I'd give those guys like Ted Williams and those good hitters that in the Hall of Fame. I somehow called the wrong pitch, and they'd hit the ball pretty hard.
Bob, was Ted Williams' batting eye as keen as he's given credit for? They say
Yeah,
he never.
He could see the spin of the ball coming out of the pitcher's hand as good as anybody. I can tell you a story about Ted Williams. 1953, my first year up with the Washington Senators. We opened at Washington because the president only threw out the first ball. But our first road trip was to Boston. And in Boston, Fenway Park is the same ballpark as when we played as it is now, except that both teams in the dressing room would come out of the first base dugout. Another reason, we'd have to go through the Red Sox dugout and walk across the field to the third base dugout to go to our dugout. And my first trip into Boston, that big number 9, Ted Williams, they was taking batting practice. He said, hey, Bob. I stopped. What did you want? He says, welcome to the big leagues. I hope you have a nice, long, successful time here in the big leagues. And we visited a little bit. He says, hey, by the way, Bob, you got a pitcher by the name of Pedro Ramos on your team. I said, hey, we sure do. And he can run like heck. He says, well, I don't care about him running. What does he throw? And he has a good fastball and a hard curveball. Now they call it a slider. And he says, how's his control? I said, pretty good and all that. Does he have a changeup? I said, no, he doesn't have a changeup. And so afterwards, he said, well, good luck, Bob, in the future. So I'm heading back toward the third base dugout. Over in the corner is Eddie Yost, our starting third baseman, and Mickey Vernon. Come here, you big donkey, they called me. What did that big guy want? And he just welcomed me, talking about Ted Williams. I said, he just welcomed me to the big leagues and all that. Oh, he did ask me about our pitcher, Pedro Ramos, and I told him he had a fastball and a hard curveball. And Eddie Yost says, and Mickey Vernon, see, he knows more about Pedro Ramos than we do. He was all getting ready to get the scouting report on him, so that if he had to face him, he knew what was coming and going.
Yeah, Bob, then after that, after you retired, you became a scout?
Yes.
Tell us some of the people that you signed.
Well, let's see. Well, my first year of scouting, I started scouting in 1970. I was a coach with Montreal in 1969. I coached with Minnesota Twins in '68 for Gene Mock. Got the expansion team in 1969 for the Montreal Expos, and I coached with him. In Philadelphia, and he called me and said, Bob, you just got fired from Minnesota Twins in '68. How about coming to Montreal in '69? I did. And then in 1970, I started scouting for Montreal. Some of the guys I signed, the first kid I ever signed was a kid that spent about 11, 12 years by the name of Pat Scanlon, a big hitting first baseman.
Yeah, I remember him.
Big years. And had some big years at San Diego. Then I signed Shane Rowley, a left-handed pitcher. He became $1 million pitcher out of a junior college at Centerville, Iowa. He went to a junior college. I drafted him and signed him. Think of some big names, some of the better names maybe you could remember. Bill Tillickson, Scott Sanderson, Pat Rooney, an outfield who is an agent now. Tom Wighouse, a catcher. I signed Casey Candale as a free agent. Gary Wayne is a free agent. Gene Harris.
I have a question for you when you're ready. What does a scout look for? Having been a player and now being a scout, are there certain things that you have an advantage for?
Right. What do scouts look for? We get a lot of people that watch our show and they want to know how to get signed. So since you sign all these famous people, why don't you give people like the 60-yard run or velocity or accuracy and stuff like that?
Well, if you can run and throw, you got a chance. If you can't run in any sport, it's pretty hard to go unless you're a power-hitting first baseman. And if you can run and throw, you got two of the best tools in the game. And if you're a pitcher, if you got a good arm that can throw hard, we'll show you. Our minor league pitching instructors will help you get better with your control and throwing breaking ball. But if you got a good arm that can throw 90-plus miles an hour, and if you can, as a pitcher, that's your number one thing. Size makes a difference now. When we started scouting, little guys played. Now it's tougher for little guys to play. Nowadays, the kids are so much bigger and stronger. And if you can run and throw, you got two of the tools whipped already in playing in the field. Now, if you can field, you got 3. If you got power, you got 4. And if you can hit, you got 5 tools. That's what they call you, a 5-tool player. But the things we look for when we go out, see if he can run and throw and how determined he really wants to play the game.
Okay, well, we're getting to the end. Do you want to talk about any foundations that you're involved in, or what are you doing today? Are you still scouting? You're retired, or what's the latest?
No, I'm in my 8th different decades now. I started in the 40s. I'm still working for the Miami Marlins baseball club as a scout in the Midwest. So, I'm still involved in baseball, and I love it. And it's keep me young, I guess, watching young kids play, and I feel young, but I'm still scouting in the minor, in the amateur, watching high school and college players in the Midwest.
Yeah. Any other famous people that we should know about that you signed?
Well, the last couple I signed, because the last 3-4 years I went part-time with Miami. There's 2 kids up the big leagues now. Kid by the name, a left-handed pitcher by the name of Brad Hand, just like your hand, H-A-N-D, a high school kid I signed out of Minnesota, and another kid I signed out of Nebraska University, a left-handed pitcher by the name of Dan Jennings. So really those are about the only guys left playing because we don't get too many players in the Midwest.
Yeah, George has a question.
Bob, Giancarlo Stanton, do you have big prospects? Do you have great expectations for him? I know he was injured a little bit last year.
Who was it?
Giancarlo Stanton plays for the Marlins. He's a power hitter, big, tall kid, big, strong, young guy.
I wish we could all find a player like him. He's got all the tools.
He's a 5-tool guy, right?
He's going to be a great player. If we could just get somebody that can hit behind him to protect him at the plate, we'll have a good ball club.
Yeah, he looks like the real deal. Could be the next big superstar.
He is a real deal. He's got all the tools. He can run, throw. He's got power, and he loves to play. And
that's important, too. Attitude's important, isn't it, Bob?
Pardon?
Some guy's entitled. I know years ago they used to make fun of Roger Clemens because he said he had to carry his own suitcases, and his wife got harassed when she was sitting in the stands. Do you think some of these guys are making $15-18 million a year and just kind of mailing it in?
I don't think so. No, well, let's face it. Everybody knows they're overpaid. Who pays it?
You think?
Those TV advertisements and commercials and everything else.
Yeah.
And the ballparks are packed, so why let the owners make all the money? The players
Right.
Players Union is very tough.
Okay, Bob, we've come to the end. We're going to give 5 minutes to the this person here is the impersonator, the Frank Sinatra impersonator. But I want to thank you for coming on the show, and feel free to call anytime, or if anybody would like to get in touch with them, if you have any questions, feel free to call me. My phone number is 781-891-0621. Thanks a lot, okay? Thank you. Bye.
Nice talking to you, Bob.
Okay, we have George Lyons here. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is me. I'm George. I sing Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, etc., etc. I'm not sure. They may be playing some music right now. We don't have a monitor in here, so I don't know if the music is playing.
Well, do you want to give him a sample?
Why don't you belt it out?
Yeah, I was going to say to Bob, Henry
song.
said, what did you say, you're at the end?
Yeah, we're coming to the end. We got 4 minutes.
Now the end is near,
Wow.
and so our chat with Bob is over.
I think we have a Frank Sinatra in the
We
room.
had a wonderful time learning about his career, of which we're certain he played for the Senators and Pirates. He did it all from A to Z, and more, much more than this. It made him happy.
Woo! Yeah.
That was nice.
Thanks. I'll
Go
send
ahead,
you the
we-
bill, Bob.
Go ahead, we got a few
Little
more.
homemade song
No,
here.
he's off the air.
Yeah?
He can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was telling you, I sang for Louis Tian a couple of years ago.
Yeah, tell us about
down
that.
at Lombardo's in Randolph. They were having a
That is a nice
a
place.
party
to
down there.
It's a nice little gig.
I
Yeah, it's a
have.
great
So did you
lovely
take a
in there.
picture with him? Or?
Yeah, I got a great picture. It's on my web page.